All right. We are live. We are live. Everything looking good? Everything looking good. We are live. It's Friday already. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the Heat Check live beat review show right here on my YouTube channel, Desmond A Sounds on YouTube. So give a shout out to everyone on YouTube, also everyone on my Twitch, multi-streaming. Guys, I thought about possibly not streaming today because I know that it's the holidays. You guys are moving around. Probably not going to get too many submissions, but I just wanted to show up for you guys, give the feedback because it's the holidays and a lot of you guys are moving around, but I still wanted to engage with you guys. I look forward to the show, man. I definitely look forward to the show. So if you don't know, who am I? My name is Desmond A. I'm a music producer out here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I've been producing music for over 12 years now. Got songs on different television networks like E-Television, Sci-Fi Channel, what else? Television, Sci-Fi Channel, Bravo, multiple documentaries, and also, of course, the very talented music recording artists out here in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and also all the talented artists who lease and license my beats online. They're very talented and they are valuable. They're just as valuable as all the other placements. So, ladies and gentlemen, just giving you the format of the show. So right here on the Heat Check, you go ahead and submit your beats over to me in the link in the description. The form opens as soon as the live stream is closed. Excuse me. Yes, the form opens as soon as the live stream is closed, and then you go ahead and submit your beats for next week's show. So if you want to get beats in for this week's show, since the free submissions are closed, then you just go to DesmondASounds.com/VIP. For the VIP, skip the line. You can just purchase that for $10. I'll go ahead and give you your feedback so you can get that good game and be on your merry way. I want to say submit your beats for next week's show, but to be honest, it is the holiday season, so we're going to take a little break from the Heat Check, and then we're going to return on December 19th, that Friday, December 19th. So we're going to have a bit of a hiatus. You guys can continue to cook up your beats, continue to make that good fire, so then you could just flood me with a whole bunch of beats. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to leave the form open at the end of this show so we could just have a whole bunch of beats for December 19th show. Hopefully I don't end up regretting it, but hey, we got to try something to see what works. So I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway. So we're going to go ahead and open up that form for December 19th show. So we're going to take a brief hiatus. Now, here on the Heat Check, what's the format? How exactly does it work? So I go ahead and listen to about a minute and a half of your beats. Then I go ahead and give my feedback. Right here on the Heat Check, there's no snapping, no roasting, no saying, oh, that's whack or anything like that. We're here to help each other grow. It's essentially like a dojo. You ever been to a dojo? You ever been to a boxing gym? And then your sensei tells you, go ahead and rotate your hip when you throw that punch, or put some weight behind that jab. You understand what I'm saying? They're going to give you real actionable steps to help you improve. They're not just going to say, oh, that's whack. Oh, that's terrible. No. We're going to give you real actionable steps so that way you can apply it to yourself and help you grow in your music production journey. So we're going to give it to you straight, but we're going to give you real steps to help you grow. So if you go ahead and if you agree with that, make sure you continue to watch the Heat Check because we're here to help you on your music production journey. All right, let's take a look at the chat. All right, we got iFall Beats in the chat. We got Millie in the chat. I got you guys submissions. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to everyone in the chat. You guys are the reason I show up, man. When I first started this show, I was a little nervous doing it as far as way back a few months ago, but now I look forward to it. I'm excited about it. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Let's get into FL Studio. Go ahead and put my headphones on. All right. So first submission of the day is coming from Millie Beats. This one is Katrin VVS. All right. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but it's all good. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, play this beat, then go ahead and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Miller, you made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Millie Beats with Katrin VVS. So shout out to you, Millie Beats, and thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, Millie Beats, with this particular beat, I'm definitely hearing your drum selection is improving. I don't have that real stock sound that I was hearing in some of your previous beats. So your drums are definitely improving. I know you're limited there in FL Studio Mobile. The sounds themselves didn't sound too like stocky or default as far as the instrumentation, but I definitely feel like I would like sounds that are just slightly like a notch or two above as far as sound selection options. But once again, I understand you're limited in FL Studio Mobile. Now, one of the main things that I heard in that beat is you were having bells, like multiple bells, and then a piano came in. And it kind of felt like I didn't have any real focus in the beat as far as instrumentation. And if there's no real focus in the beat with that instrumentation, then it could be a bit difficult for a recording artist to actually make a song to it. It's kind of like driving on a highway and then you see like, little cones in the way or maybe a carpet in the way. It's like, okay, you can drive straight, but there's things in the way it's making it difficult. You kind of got to move around certain things to just keep going straight on the highway. And hopefully that makes sense. So I want you to go through that beat, listen back, and then ask yourself, what sound can I mute? How can I mute this? What if I mute this sound? Do I feel like I'm missing something? And if I do feel like I'm missing something, if I start rapping over it or singing over it, does it kind of feel like that my voice just took up space? So I really want to encourage you guys to rap or sing to your beats especially after you get done making them, because that can really inform you on how much space to leave for the recording artist. Because I'll be honest, I've produced songs for certain artists, and when I listen back, as far as like, just a beat lease or beat sale, when I listen back, I would hear something. I'm like, ooh, that's just one too many sounds. I shouldn't have added that. And you don't want that feeling, especially after the song is recorded, especially if they shot a music video to it. You don't want that feeling of, ooh, I wish I would have changed that. So to get ahead of that, rap out loud, sing out loud so you can listen for what sound can be muted to just add that extra space so things don't start to feel a little cluttered. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. You're improving. I'm liking the drum sound selection. Each week, things are getting better and better. So shout out to you, Millie Beats. All right, it looks like we got another submission by Millie Beats today. This one is called Midas. All right, so you got the Midas touch. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and then go ahead and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Miller, you made it.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that was Millie Beats with Midas. Shout out to you, Millie Beats. Thank you for your submission, and please continue to submit right here on the Heat Check. Now, Millie Beats, for that beat, there's a couple things going on in that beat. One, there was a certain point in the beat where it just felt like you were adding sounds just to add sounds, like you had a piano going and like a pad going, and couple things going on, and it felt like unnecessary. You just felt like you made the beat, and you got to a certain point where you maybe felt like, well, I need to add something. I need to just add something. And once again, like I mentioned before, the last instrument on your beat is gonna be the human voice. And when you start to feel that, let me just add something, you're typically gonna just be clouding the beat. It's like you're clouding the instrumentation of the beat, which is just, and it started to lose focus. I started to kind of even lose direction on where the beat was going, because you had the pad going, you had the piano going, you had a couple other things going on, and it just didn't feel like the instrumentation was really structured, like you're just kind of adding stuff. So if you do start to feel, let me say this, let me go back. One of the main things that I've learned from working with recording artists firsthand in studio is how few sounds they actually need to create a song. They don't need very much. So you guys, when you start to feel like, let me just add something, please refrain from doing that and just start rapping. Just your favorite YG song, your favorite Nipsey Hussle song, your favorite whoever song. Just, just whatever you're doing, just mumble out loud. Don't get it. Okay, just mumble to yourself, whatever. Just make sure you do it out loud where you can actually hear yourself over the beat. And that's going to help give you a lot of structure and help push you to not add so many sounds. Also in the beat, you had like a reverse cymbal that came on, and that was way too loud. We want to make sure that we're keeping the volume balanced. Typically you are able to keep the volume balanced. I'm not quite sure what happened. That reverse cymbal was way too loud. Let's just make sure all the sounds are nice and balanced. We don't have a sound that's kind of just shocking us. Sometimes you can make things louder for the sake of excitement, but that was loud, like almost as if you accidentally left your fader up. So let's make sure we have all the sounds nice and balanced for the recording artist. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that beat. Just make sure we have structure, direction. You're not clouding things up with instrumentation. I promise you, you need less sounds than you're actually having. Like, even listen to YG stuff. He doesn't have that much instrumentation on a lot of his music. So shout out to you, Millie Beats. Okay, so Millie in the chat says, thanks, I felt like I add sounds just for the sake of adding them. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there in the music production journey. You're working in FL Studio Mobile. Just wait till you have something like Omnisphere, Serum, Nexus 2, Massive, Contact. Uh, what else? What else is there? The Prince by Cradle Audio. The Rolling Cloud VSTs, and you just have them all sitting on your computer. A lot of us just, we can reach that point that we just have things for the sake of having things. So I always keep in mind that I'm creating the background for an artist to do their thing. So I think we need to just kind of shift your focus on that. We're creating song. Absolutely. So yeah, shout out to you, Millie Beats. You are very welcome. Thank you so much for submitting on the Heat Check. Please continue to submit so I can help you on your music production journey. All right, moving forward, we have Hero Lee with The Dark Knight. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, play the song, and then go ahead and give my feedback. So let's take a listen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Hero Lee with The Dark Knight. Thank you so much for submitting on the Heat Check. I'll be glad to continue to assist you. All right, so Hero Lee. So for that beat, there's a couple things going on. For one, so let me start by saying this. I like the sample choice that you had. It's a nice sample. I thought you were going to go in a drill direction, but you didn't go in the drill direction, but that's perfectly fine. One, that kick was too loud. It was disproportionately loud in relationship to the instrumentation that you had going on. So you had the instruments that was here, then the kick was way up here, and it's just way too loud. It created an imbalance. So we don't want to do that. Just figure out, pull the kick down, turn the instrumentation up, whatever you want to do, just make sure things sound a bit more balanced. Which tells me there could be something going on in your listening environment. I'm not quite sure if you're using headphones, if you're using decent headphones, if you're using decent speakers, because you may not even be able to perceive what's happening that causes the things to be that loud. Also, another thing with that beat, the 808 was out of key. It didn't flow with the instrument, the key of the instruments. We had quite a few spots in there where the 808 just didn't musically go with the sample, so that threw me off as well. Also, the entire beat, we really want to have some type of direction, some type of goal. What recording artist do I see on this beat? Where's the hook? Where's the verse? How am I going to separate the things that are going on? So kind of felt like this was almost like freestyle beat making, where you kind of had a vibe, you kind of had a mood, and then you just started kind of adding things, but didn't have any real structure to it. So we want to have some type of structure to the beat, so that way we kind of know where we're going. We didn't really have any real structure going on there. Let's see. Other than that, man, it's just the thing that jumped out to me when I was listening to that beat. It felt like there's some fundamental things I want you to get with beat making. So this is gonna take you putting your ego aside, which is very hard. Trust me, I know. It's gonna take putting your ego aside to do something like this. And that's to really learn how to construct certain elements of a beat. So for this, like, I want you to just pick like maybe 2 or 3 beats that you really like. Hopefully you can find the instrumentals, and then just listen to something like just one element, like the drum pattern of the more popular instrumental that you like, and listen to how the producer's putting things together, and try to even redo what that producer did. Like, put it in your DAW. I'm not quite sure what DAW you use. Put that more popular beat in your DAW, listen, and then try to remake the same drum pattern, and just listen critically. And okay, why are my drums not swinging like theirs? What's happening? Okay, it sounds like they added like a little conga right here on top of the kick. Okay, what's happening? Okay, sounds like the hi-hats are swinging a bit looser. So I want you to try to emulate that. Matter of fact, I want you to copy it and just see if you can redo what that more popular producer did. Then I promise you, you're going to learn some fundamental skills that you're going to be able to apply to your own personal beats in the future. So once again, as producers, we feel like we have all the answers. We're creating something brand new. Nobody can tell us nothing. You know, I know the feeling. But if you're able to do something like that, I promise you, you're going to find yourself leveling up much quicker than your competition. So please try that out. I promise you, you're going to learn a lot. I promise you. All right. Okay, shout out to Hero Lee. He's in the chat. Oh, he's in the chat. Okay, let's see here. So Hero Lee made the sample himself. Whoa, okay, that's impressive. That sounded really good. Really good sample. Gotta roll the kicks. I turned it up. I was struggling to make it a hitter, so take it. Okay, so Hero Lee in the chat said, I got you, bro. He's talking about the kicks. I turned it up. I was struggling to make it hit harder. Struggling to make it a hit harder, so I just turned it up. Any tips on making it hit without making it too loud? That kind of tells me that there's possibly something going on in your listening environment. Let me see here. Because the kicks were hitting, and it sounds like, let me see, do you have headroom? Let me take a look at your waveform. Okay, your waveform looks like you probably had headroom in your VST. In your DAW. So making your drums hit harder without turning things loud is just about the relationship between the kick and the sample. So one thing I always talk about in a lot of my tutorials and even in this live stream is I talk about having an anchor sound, which is usually, ironically enough, is usually the kick. So with an anchor sound, let me just show you here. I'm just gonna find a sound in my library just to make this example. Okay. So with an anchor sound, you're not gonna hear this, guys. I'm doing this on purpose. All right. So with an anchor sound, see right here, I have this sound hitting at 15 dB. 15 dB. That's pretty good. Now, when it comes to making it hit harder, it's gonna have to do with the relationship with the other sound that you have going on. So if I have let me just find another sound here. let's just pretend that this sound right here is a string. On insert 4, let's pretend that this is a string. So if I want my drums or I want my kick to hit harder, it's going to have to do with the relationship between these sounds. Now, in your example, it didn't sound like you had any real low-end frequencies that would cause any type of masking, like a piano with a lot of sub-bass frequencies or anything like that. So in that department, you should be good. It's just your sound was disproportionately louder. So if my kick is here, then my string is here. Let me make that clearer. My kick is at -15. Let's say my string is at, let me bring this down. Let's say I have my string at 21. And I really like the way my kick sounds. I can just pull up the string until I like the way it feels. So I know that my kick is always going to be at 15. And when I pull in the string sound and I start to feel it, I pull in the string sound and I really start to feel it, I know that I need to stop. I'm like, okay, that's enough right there. That feels good right there. So I always know where that kick is. So any other sounds that I add around that kick, I know that my kick is always at 15. So if my kick is hitting hard and then I have my strings in there and I can feel everything, then I know I'm good to go. So it's kind of a quick tutorial. Sorry if that was a bit unclear, but I was trying to teach that on the fly. So apologies if that was unclear there for you. Let me open up the chat again. I apologize about that. Trades by 20X. Looks like you were trying to submit for this week's show, so you may not have seen the ticker at the very top. So it looks like you've seen the ticker. If you want to submit, you just do the VIP skip the line as the free submissions are closed. All right. iFall Beats says, listen to Married to the Game by Future. One of the best beats of all time. Is so simple. Yes. Okay. So iFall Beats is giving some game. When your kick is your anchor sound, do you always have it hitting at a specific dB regardless of the beat? Yes, I do. Personally, I do. So for me, it's going to be, every time I do a beat, it's going to be around, it's either going to be -12 or -15. So it's going to be 12 or 15 right here. Let me just do it so you guys can see the light. So if I'm doing a beat, I know I'm going to always have it at -12 or -15, depending on how busy the beat is. I always know where my kick is, so I'm never lost. It's almost like my North Star. No matter where I go in the beat, I lower the beat, I accidentally move things on my mixer and I get confused. I always know my kick is at -15 or -12. So that way, if let's just say I add a piano sound and then everything is just, the kick is no longer hitting harder because I added a piano sound and that piano sound has a lot of low mid frequencies. What I can do, I'm going to go ahead and listen. And then if that piano has a lot of low mid frequencies, I'm going to pull down the piano sound, make sure I have enough, make sure things are feeling good. And if I feel like that kick still isn't snapping hard, I'm going to go into my EQ here. And then on that piano sound, I'm just going to cut out, I'm just going to slowly pull out a pocket. The thing is, a lot of times producers will rely on EQs to just, they just do these massive cuts that they see bigger producers do on their YouTube or, you know, their live streams, whatever. It's a lot of misinformation gets spread on Reddit and things like that. So I would just open up a pocket, just slowly listen. Okay, I know my kick was snapping. I added this piano sound. Now my kick isn't snapping hard. So I'm just going to go ahead and listen. And ooh, right there. Okay, now my kick is snapping hard and the piano sound has enough space. All I needed to do is just dip out, just soften some of those low mid frequencies in piano just to open up space. And I'm listening, I'm feeling it. Ooh, right there. Now my kick sounded the way I wanted to. So that's also a gem for Hero Lee as well. So that was a good question so you know where things are hitting. All right, let me go ahead and open up the chat. So yes, iFall Beats. Great question, iFall Beats. Hopefully that helped iFall and Hero Lee as well. And guys, if you want me to go into more detail, I created a course called The Drum Doctor. It is on DesmondASounds.com. So you can go there. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a Black Friday sale where it's 50% off. Just go to DesmondASounds.com. You'll see The Drum Doctor, super huge on my website, DesmondASounds.com. Get the Drum Doctor course, and I walk through things step by step with examples and everything like that. So you guys definitely want to check that out. All right, trades by 20X. Okay, absolutely. All right, you're welcome, Hero Lee. You're welcome, Hero Lee. I'm glad to help out. All right. Moving forward, looks like we got another submission by Hero Lee. This one is called Automation Ammunition. Okay, that's a good title. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and play this beat by Hero Lee. Go ahead and mute my mic and then give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Hero Lee with Automation Ammunition. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and post this really quickly here in the chat. Drum Doctor. All right, let me just add this. Let's add something in the chat here really quickly. All right, sorry about that, guys. Really quick. Okay, there we go. Bam, let me go ahead and pin this message. All right, there we go. All right, now I'm gonna get back to your review here, Hero Lee. Okay, now, Hero Lee. For this beat, there's a couple things going on here. The first thing I noticed was the sound selection. So the sound selection kind of felt like you were reaching for like different stock sounds in your DAW, and it just felt like this is the word that came up to me was just stock, like stock sounds that you were using to put together to the beat. So we want to get sounds, have a different sound selection to where the sounds that you're using just sound more developed, a bit more professional, just tighter, more polished. It just kind of felt like the sounds really weren't really like, I don't want to say blended right. It's almost like the sounds were just stock. Like there really wasn't any real blending or polishing of the sounds. It just kind of felt like you just grabbed certain sounds that were right there in a folder and then just kind of went through creating the beat. Another thing that I noticed in that beat was that your 808 kick kept running into each other. It's almost like you didn't have the note cutoff feature on that a lot of DAWs have, where your sounds don't end up bumping into each other. So it's like boo 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 boo. So it had that flappy sound where the kicks run into each other. So in whatever DAW that you're using, please turn on the feature that keeps the sounds from just smacking into each other. It's usually going to have something to do with being mono. It's probably going to be some type of mono button, or it's going to have some type of cut itself button. Something in your DAW, whatever DAW that you're using, is going to allow you to keep the sounds from running into each other. And that's how, in all the beats we make, that's how we keep the 808s from just overlapping and causing that weird wobbly sound. So I heard that going on. It was either that or something going on with the velocity that caused the sound to almost sound like it was running into each other. Also, volume balance. So this kind of goes back to the anchor sound that I was talking about a moment ago. It felt like certain sounds were like real high, certain sounds were low. So we weren't really able to have a cohesive feel. Like in the beat itself, I wasn't able to catch a feel that pulled me into the beat. It's just like sounds were there and then there was a groove going. But I didn't really feel anything that could really pull me in. One of the things that could push the listener out is just not having solid volume balancing. So if you heard what I mentioned about the anchor sound, find some type of anchor sound and just know where your North Star is. So that way you don't have a kick way up here, a snare way down here, a hi-hat way up here, and things are just kind of all over the place. So we want to tighten everything up to make sure it feels good, it's cohesive. One thing that I've done and that I continue to do to this day is to listen to my beat at a low volume, and I listen to my beat at a medium volume, and I listen to my beat at a loud volume where I'm really feeling the energy. And typically whenever I hear things at a low volume or that medium volume, I can usually pick out a couple sounds that are just a tad bit too loud. So that's another kind of secret that you can use as well to help you catch sounds that are just poking out way too much. So you're listening to your beat, it sounds like it's done. You lower the knob on your audio interface, then you listen back, then you hear a sound just poking out way too much. Typically you need to just go ahead and ease it on down just a little bit to help things feel good. And then I listen to the complete beat at the medium volume and at the higher volume. That's what I'm really feeling. I'm grooving, I'm freestyling to myself, and I'm knowing, okay, if I can freestyle to it, I'm grooving to it, then I know that a recording artist can at least create something to it. You know what I'm saying? So they can create a song, they can create a freestyle, they have something going on. Okay. Next bit of feedback on that beat was structure. I didn't really have I heard the intro, and then we got into something that's like a hook or a verse. I wasn't quite clear on where everything was. So, you know, we want to be in the recording studio with a lot of these artists, and I may need to do that. That may be on the roadmap for next year, is seeing me in the studio, whether it's my studio, somebody else's studio, just kind of talking to recording artists, whether it's a rapper or a singer, because without the artist there, you still want it to be apparent where things go. Where's the verse? Where's the hook? Potentially without even having to inform them on where it's at. So what's a good producer who's an example of this? A lot of the popular guys out there, iFall mentioned Metro, a lot of the popular guys out there, especially the way music works these days, Southside, whenever you're listening to their beats, you can catch where the hook is and you can catch where the verse is. The hook is typically has a bit more sounds going on, and then the verse tends to be a little quieter. They tend to take out the instrumentation, some instrumentation just to make things sound, give it more suspense. So we built up to the hook, and then we're taking out sounds to get back to the second verse. And once again, that's typically what happens. But yeah, listen to different instrumentals out there by your favorite producers to just kind of listen to what they're doing so that you can pick up on how to structure your beats a bit better. So that way, once again, without you being around, the artist knows where their part is. They know where to shine. They know where to jump in at and do their thing. So hopefully that was clear. So yes, thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check Hero Lee. Please continue to submit, and I'll be glad to help you on your music production journey. All right, moving forward, our next submission of the night, we have I Fall. This one is called This Beat Will Inspire You. Okay, great name. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, play this beat, and then go ahead and give my feedback. Oh, you're welcome, Hero Lee. You're welcome, Hero Lee. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Please continue to submit, and I'll be glad to help you out. All right, so we got I Fall going on here. I'm going to mute my mic, and let's check it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was I Fall with This Beat Will Inspire You. Thank you so much for submitting today, I Fall. Now, I Fall. The first thing that got me with that beat was that intro. I didn't know what was going on, and honestly, I started to get a bit scared. And I didn't know if something happened to the audio file, but I held through, and then we had to switch up, and the beat actually came in. And you know, we had a good beat that came in. So let's not do that with the intro, man. That scared me. So I know maybe you thought there would be some type of cool tension, some type of thing to kind of throw people off, to kind of create this contrast thing that happens, but it just made me nervous. So please, let's cut that intro. Just keep the intro musical and get into the beat drop. The next thing I noticed is, so that was a good beat. We had good instrumentation. You got your, the beat knocking. You got all your sounds going on. I can tell that you're not new to beat making. You've done this for a while. You know what's going on. You know how to select sounds that complement each other. So I could definitely hear that. But there was something that was going on. I don't know if you're hitting your master bus kind of hard. I was hearing some digital distortion going on. You might be just having things hitting the red really hard. And when I take a look at the waveform, especially here, it looks like you might be doing some digital distortion going on. So you could have your sounds going into the red, and that could explain why I was hearing some like brittleness, some digital distortion going on. So try to find yourself, if a lot of us in music production, we like to our stuff real loud. Try to find yourself a good limiter, and know how to use your limiter. That's important as well. Sometimes we've had submissions of people using their limiter improperly. So with your limiter, just don't have it doing too much gain reduction. Just have it there making your beat louder. Just don't have the waveform just moving nonstop whenever you're looking at the limiter. Don't have it just snapping and pushing down your kick real hard. Just, you can allow it to just kiss the kick a little bit. Let me go ahead and show you here, since I'll just show you here. So let's put this on 2. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do this. All right, so let's open up this. What limiter? All right, so a lot of people have the FL Studio limiter. Let's find it. Where's the FL Studio limiter? I'll just go ahead and let's just go ahead and search for it. All right. All right, here's the Fruity limiter. Okay, I'm not gonna allow it to play out loud. Let me just show you what I mean. All right, threshold. All right, limiter, ceiling. All right, sorry about that. All right, so you see how the gain reduction is moving a lot on this. Whenever you're limiting, you don't have to have the gain reduction going crazy like this. You could just have it. See, that's going crazy right there. All right. What's going on? There we go. So you could just have very, very light gain reduction. We really don't even want, we want the gain reduction to even barely be moving. This is even a bit much. So if you want to get your beats louder, and then here in Fruity Limiter, you can even saturate this. So this saturation here in the FL Studio is the same saturation as the soft clipper. So if you want to even clip it, you can do it here as well with the Fruity Limiter. So just want to give you an example on how to limit your beats without doing too much, because you can do too much very easily with the limiter. But I hear that your beat is more than likely hitting the red. So we definitely don't want to do that, because it's going to cause digital distortion. All right, let me make sure I got everything off. Okay, let's see. But other than that, I'm liking the way the I'm liking the way the beat sounded. I'm liking the way the beat felt. There's just something going on with how your beat is getting loud. That's like, I think if we play this in a big studio, artists would definitely be rocking with it. But there's something about how the beat is getting loud that's kind of, is doing something to your dynamics that I want us to be careful of. So, we don't want to overcook food. You know what I'm saying? You can have a real good dish, a real good meal, then you want it nice and hot. But if it gets nice and hot and it starts to get a little too crispy, then when it gets a little too crispy, it can start to take away. It's like you're eating the food and you're like, this is good, but man, it's a little crispy, but it's a little overcooked. But I could tell that the food is good, but man, I just wish they didn't overcook it a bit too much. They overcooked it a little too much. It's kind of taken away from it. So let's kind of watch the dynamics, and let's watch the limiting, so that way we can maintain the integrity of the sonics because you are able to put together a good beat. So hopefully that was clear. All right, so let's take a look at the chat. Let's see here. Yeah, I did start to get scared, man. I thought something happened with the audio. I was like, I don't know what happened, what I did. Let me think. Let me see what you said. iFall. I think on this beat I didn't leave a lot of headroom. Then I put on a limiter on the master with a few dB of gain. Still trying to figure out the sweet spot, making a beat loud without overdoing it. Okay, that's a good point, iFall. You know, one thing I definitely wish I would have done. And once again, this has a lot to do with ego, man. This has a lot to do with ego. I wish I would have listened to other producers' beats who I liked, even if it's like other type beat producers or a producer that I follow on Instagram or anything like that. And then just taking their beat, putting it in my DAW and comparing it to my beat and then just listening and saying, okay, what's my beat missing? Okay, theirs is loud, but has more body. So how do I get that body? Like, how do I get more thump in my music? You know, instead of learning from my own mistakes, I wish I would have learned from other people's mistakes, or rather did a bit more comparison instead of thinking like I have all the answers. So, you know, it took me more time to get to this point because of my ego. It just got in the way of me improving. So, you know, definitely don't be afraid to listen to other producers' beats, especially, you know, guys that you really respect who are up there, and listen and say, okay, what's happening? Why am I lacking this in my beat? And why do they have that in their beat? And how do I gain that into my music production process? So that you can skip the line and learn quicker. You know, what could take you another year to improve, you can learn in like 2 months by doing that, by comparing and then extracting that thing that they're doing. Yeah, it just takes you putting your ego away, and it's very difficult. It's difficult to do. So shout out to you, iFall. Sorry, I started rambling there a little bit. All right, moving forward, we have iFall with This Beat Will Scare You. Okay, this beat doesn't have a long intro. Wait, I don't think. Okay, well, I'm gonna get ready for your iFall. So let's see. We're going to take a listen to This Beat Will Scare You by iFall. I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, play this beat, and then go ahead and give my feedback. So let's take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was iFall with This Beat Will Scare You. Okay, shout out to you, iFall. That beat did not scare me. The first beat scared me, and it said it was inspire me, but that was because of the intro. But messing around with you, man. Okay, so yes, this beat will scare me. Okay, this beat had really good bounce, man. Really good bounce. Just had that nice bop, that nice modern bop, that nice modern bounce, and it wasn't so predictable. You know, kind of, I want to say it reminds me of, I know sometimes producers don't like to be compared to other producers, but it kind of remind me of that Cardo bounce, just a little bit. Kind of getting into that direction. It's not quite Cardo, but it had that starting to get into that Cardo direction as far as drum bounce, which is a compliment. But some producers still don't like to be compared. Now, in that beat, I'm hearing, like, once again, I could tell you've been producing for a while. But one thing I'm hearing is it's just something that's going on with how you're getting your beat loud that's killing the dynamics. It's almost like it's like you're over compressing some of your sounds, and it's causing it to it's causing everything to be at like one loud level. So it's hard to feel contrast. It's like everything is just loud, but it's not pulling me in. It's just like almost like things are getting squashed to where I'm not hearing bounce. I'm hearing bounce, but I'm like not feeling bounce the way I should, because something is hurting your dynamics there. It could be your limiter. It could be that you're hitting compression on all of your sounds a bit too much. And I could also hear in the low end of that 808 that it's starting to cut off some of the subs. So once I hear that the sub frequency is starting to get cut off in a beat, that tells me that something is compressing the 808. Something is distorting the 808 that's causing it to lose the sub frequency integrity, the sub frequency thickness. So whatever is causing that sub frequency of the 808 to be cut off is related to why the drums kind of feel like they're on one level. It's like, to me, it sounds like you're over limiting, or you're doing some type of over limiting or over compressing. So try to dial that back. One thing I tell producers is that whenever I get a beat and I put it in Pro Tools for an artist to record to it, I have a gain knob. I have a gain feature in Pro Tools. So if I need to make the beat louder, I'll just make it a little bit louder. So let's try to maintain some headroom. Let's not let the limiter or the compressor do all that gain reduction. So I know we're in this loudness wars thing where we want everything to hit super hard, and trust me, I feel you. But let's not ruin the integrity of the beat by over compressing. So it sounds like really that's one of the only things that I'm hearing in your beat is just that it's something with the dynamics. That's pretty much the main thing that I'm hearing in your beats. So just watch that. And once again, we have clip gain in Pro Tools, so we can always make your stuff louder if need be. So, but good beat. Shout out to you, I Fall. And please continue to submit on the Heat Check. I'll be glad to assist you on your music production journey. All right. Shout out to the chat. What's going on? Nod Record or Nod Record. Shout out to you in the chat. And thank you so much for checking us out right here on the Heat Check. Okay, shout out to you, new subscriber. Welcome to the family. You know, got the YouTube here. Also check out the Discord in the description. Check out the Discord. Join the Discord. Go to DesmondASounds.com. I got all kinds of free loops, FL Studio Patcher plugins that are actually killing some of the paid plugins out there. I could really charge like $50 for it for some of them plugins. But yeah, go there. Free loops for everything. You know, free everything. All right, so let me check this out, man. Thank you so much for the advice. I'm gonna work on the mixing and make sure I'm not squashing the beat. Any remixation. How important is leaving a few dB of headroom? Work on mixing. Okay, so I Fall Beats. Here's the thing that happens. So whenever I'm in the studio, right, a lot of times artists are getting like YouTube type beats from YouTube, obviously from YouTube. We're dropping it in Pro Tools, and then they're recording on top of the already limited beat. So they're recording on top of an already loud beat, and then what we're doing in Pro Tools is on the master after they record to the beat, I'm making it even louder with another limiter in Pro Tools to kind of blend and marry everything together. So even now, whenever we're making songs, everything is like getting super limited, or, you know, we're really kind of killing the dynamics. So the thing is, don't be afraid to leave your beat a little bit quieter, leave more headroom, because whenever you leave more headroom and then the artist records their vocals on top of that, since engineers or producers who happen to record, whenever we record the vocals on top of it, we're almost like sandwiching everything together. So the fact that your beat is a little bit quiet and they're recording their vocals on top of it, when we push everything together, it starts to blend in a more pleasing way. So it's important to leave a few dB of headroom, because your beat really isn't the final destination. The final destination is the completed song. And that's the thing a lot of people forget about. We're aiming for completed songs, but sometimes as producers, as beat makers, we're just in our rooms, cooking up in the studio with a few of our producer friends making beats, and we forget the final product is the actual completed song. So please have a few dB of headroom, so that way we have room to go whenever the artist records in Pro Tools. Don't be afraid to leave your beat a little bit quieter. I know it's tough because everybody's beat is banging, but let's don't have the limiter doing so much. Let the dynamics, let things breathe, let things move. Okay, so we got EDK in here, and you are welcome. iFall Beats, you're welcome. The love is definitely appreciated. And you are welcome, Nod Record, EDK, 66 years old. He's been making music for a long time. It's Honey, the live beat review, the free version, the free submissions are closed. It's Honey, but if you want to submit this, and again, this is a beat review show, not a song review show. If you want to get your submission in, you go to DesmondASounds.com/VIP, or the link in the description, and then you could purchase a VIP, skip the line, or else you'll just wait for the next show for a free submission. So that's how we do that. And thank you so much, Nod Record. We got an OG in here. All right. Trades. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Nod Record. Looks like we're showing love to OGs in here, co-signing some of that advice. So definitely appreciate that. All right. Moving forward. Speaking of OGs, we have an OG submitter here on the Heat Check. We have Dancing Maine with Girls All Around Me. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, then go ahead and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen together. All right. Thank you so much for everyone in the chat showing love to the show. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Yes, that was a Super Freak sample, Rick James. So that was Dancing Main with Girls All Around Me. Thank you so much for submitting Dancing Main right here on the Heat Check. Your music is always welcome here. Now, Dancing Main, some constructive criticism, some feedback. The first thing I noticed about that beat is the so the contrast that you were trying to do. So we went from the intro to the drop, and I liked the way I couldn't quite make out that was the Rick James Super Freak song at first, and then as we got closer to the drop, I was able to make it out. So then I started to get more excited, and I was expecting a really hard, aggressive drop and hit to just totally pull me into the beat, and that didn't quite occur, and that was because we didn't quite get contrast totally down there. And there's a couple reasons why. So let's look at the waveform here. So as we can see here on the waveform, the sample and then the beat drop, they're relatively close in volume. So if we want to have a nice contrast to totally pull us into the beat, let's get this intro sample, let's get the volume down a bit more. Let's pull it down a couple dB, and then whenever the kick hits for the beat drop, we're going to get pulled in because there's more excitement, there's more tension, there's more of a contrast between the quiet and the loud, and then we get pulled into the music. So let's go ahead and do that, and that's going to help out with the total impact that we're going to get in that beat. Another thing with that beat, I felt like once the music came on and we got into the main portion of the beat, it just felt like there was a lot going on musically. Like the sample was doing a lot, and it was kind of taking a lot of room in the stereo field and the frequencies. It's just so much was going on. It could be a bit challenging for a recording artist to actually make a song on top of that because they may not have too much room. So one thing you could do is let's have an EQ on that sample when the beat actually comes in. So that way we're taking off just a little bit of we want to shelve off the top end of the sample. So we're going to dull out some of those higher end frequencies just so we just have a little bit more space. So we just want to really soften it up with an EQ. Just use a shelf, and I promise you the artist is still going to feel the music. One thing as producers, as we listen to these beats in isolation, we could be making beats for ourselves and for other producers and to impress other producers, and we can kind of forget that the last instrument is the human voice. And if we just have all this stuff going on with the sample, it could be almost like a game of hopscotch for a recording artist. Like, how do I make a song? Like, I think I can it's kind of getting in my way. So let's just soften up the sample. The drums are going to sound the drums are even going to sound even better if we take off some of those higher end frequencies in the sample, and it's just going to be easier to record. So things are just going to overall sound better with that. And that's pretty much it, man. Interesting beat, good sample choice. As always, Dancing Main, you know how to work them samples. Dancing Main, just do a couple of those tips, and I promise you're gonna be really impressed. So, shout out to you, Dancing Main, and thank you so much for submitting on the Heat Check. All right. What did he use to record the beat? That's a good question. Dancing Main, please let us know in the comments. If you're in the live stream, let us know. Or if you come back to the playback on the YouTube comment section, please let us know what DAW do you use? What software do you use for your beat? We'd be glad to know. Of course, because you submit so much here on the Heat Check, we'd like to learn a little bit more about your Dancing Main. All right, moving forward, we have Dancing Main, second submission of the night with Need Me, a Nia Long. Okay, is this gonna be an R&B track? All right, gonna go ahead and mute my mic, play this beat, and then go ahead and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dancing Maine with Need Me a Nia Long. Shout out to you, Dancing Maine. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. All right. Now, Dancing Maine, man. Dancing Maine, you typically have a really aggressive, underground, rugged hip hop beat kind of aesthetic to your music. So when you started submitting R&B, I'll be honest, man, you took me by surprise. I thought you just had really gritty beats. That's kind of the box that I put you in, which, it happens, unfortunately. But yeah, man, it was a good R&B beat. See, here's the thing about space and instrumentation and music production. The thing is, as soon as the beat hit, I instantly started thinking of melodies. I instantly started singing to myself. I started creating hooks and ad-libs in my head, and I started thinking about concepts. And that was because, it had room. It gave me a lot of space to actually write and do my thing. And with the previous submission, the other beat, it was like a beat for the sake of being a beat, and it didn't really feel inviting for an actual song to be written to it. And this one actually felt inviting for a song to be written to it. So if I was in a bigger studio and I had some songwriters around me, I cranked this beat up, I'm going to see them nodding their head and writing and start it over. Wait, start it over. Let me catch that. Desmond, what do you think about that? Okay. Yeah, let me hop in the booth real quick. Let me go ahead and lay down some ideas. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's inviting for the songwriting process. So shout out to you, Dancing Maine. Now, this one piece of feedback, it's not super, super critical about this beat, but it's one thing you could possibly try. You definitely have your signature sound, Dancing Maine, which is great. You have those drums and your stutters and your beats, and you have the way you work your samples. The only thing is, let's try a different snare. Let's just experiment with it. Experiment with a different snare. As a matter of fact, in this beat, I was thinking of something like a snap. Just give me a smooth snap, and then maybe around the second part of the verse, or maybe in the hook, we can add that signature Dancing Maine reverb snare that you like to use, that hard snare. But just having a snap, having something more R&B like that could just be a little bit more inviting. It's not totally necessary, because this still worked, and that is your signature sound. That's your, kind of like Ninth Wonder back in the day. He had that snare sound that some people complained about, but from a branding standpoint, we knew that was the Ninth Wonder snare. If you guys don't know, for like beats like Threats by Jay-Z, produced by Ninth Wonder, he has that signature snare. And that's kind of the same thing that you got Dancing Man. You have that signature snare going on, but let's still experiment. Let's see. Let's try it out. Try out a smooth R&B snap. Just nice snap. I know you got it in your drum library. Just try it out. And then in the verse, you can go back to your snare, and then let's try out a snap in the verses just to see if we can just take it more R&B. But other than that, man, good beat, nice vibe, nice feel. Once again, very inviting and easy to write to. So shout out to you, Dancing Man. Thank you for submitting on the Heat Check. Please continue to submit, and I'll be glad to give you my feedback. All right. Yes, it's Honey. I mentioned a moment ago that if you did want to do a submission, that you just go to DesmondASounds.com/VIP for a VIP Skip the Line. You can purchase it for $10. As a matter of fact, actually, I wouldn't even do that to you. We're actually wrapping up the show now, so we're gonna come back on the Heat Check. So, guys, yes, in the chat. That's the thing that we have. Usually, when I make a beat, I like to have an MC right next to me or a singer. That advice is gold. That taught me so much about space, and part of the reason why I give some of the advice that I give, because we make beats for other producers instead of for recording artists. And I'm telling you, you realize how little you need to do as far as adding a bunch of sounds to your beat. So yes, that is a game changer. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, announcement. So the Heat Check is going to be returning on December 19th. So that Friday. So be on the lookout. So guys, if you don't know, this is usually a weekly show. However, it's the holidays, got a few things going on. So we're going to be returning on the 19th. If you do want feedback in the meantime before the 19th, I do have the Heat Check on demand that you can use. So you just go to DesmondASounds.com. You'll see the Heat Check on demand. So you could just get feedback from me on demand. You don't have to wait for the live show. So you could just go there. I'll still be able to give you guys feedback before the 19th. So again, that's DesmondASounds.com, or you can go to DesmondASounds.com/on-demand, and you can do that. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat in case you guys need that, so you can get on-demand feedback instead of waiting until the 19th. But I'm going to be moving and grooving around right here on demand feedback. All right, so you guys can go to Heat Check on demand while I'm moving and grooving around. So yeah, guys, I'm going to make the announcement in the YouTube community section for the next show, so you guys know when I will be returning. So in the meantime, I want you guys to be safe out there. I want to give a special thank you to all the producers who submitted here on the Heat Check, all the producers in the chat, the recording artists, everyone in the chat, man. People watch that I don't even, that, you'll be surprised who's watching. That's all I got to say. So guys, please continue to submit, and I'll be glad to help you in your music production journey. Once again, I will be back December 19th. I'm going to make an announcement in the community section. So guys, y'all be safe out there. DesmondASounds.com, everything you need. Like and subscribe, and I will see y'all then.